And oh, one moment, just let someone in. And we already had one session together in the very beginning, and okay, now everyone is coming. Okay. Yeah, could be nice if you guys could have your cameras on. Who doesn't have your camera on? Yeah, hello. Okay, so and maybe since it's been some time ago, you may already forgot a few things that we discussed. I'm not going to repeat that, but we just actually had a very quick overview of the ancient text where we can have a reference on pranayama and in what sense, very briefly, and not all the texts were included, just some that I find you maybe could be useful for you, yeah, most significant. And we didn't actually talk about tantric tradition at all, because it's actually a separate topic and it's quite complex, and we don't need that here, and we don't have time that much. And we also defined the definition of prana, concept of prana. We discussed a little bit of pranayama. We discussed the ultimate goal of yoga. Because anytime I start the course, I always start from the defining the main idea in our particular course, or any other course is goal of yoga, yeah, which we discussed as a self-realization. Initially, yoga system was designed for the purpose of self-realization, of realization of what? Of the true self. And all other benefits along, like good health, calmness of the mind, and all other things, they come along as a nice benefits. It doesn't mean we cannot take yoga practices just to improve our quality of life, like to be healthier or to feel happier and just don't think about all other things. Of course we can, it's a beautiful thing to do also, yeah, but since we are here trying to embrace a little bit of a traditional approach, we cannot deny the main goal of yoga and what for everything is actually. Today we are going to talk about energy channels, about subtle anatomy, about how it all works briefly, so to have a general understanding of the effect of pranayama on our energy. But straight away wanted to mention that you may find different interpretations in the different yoga schools, which is very normal, and I always encourage students to discover more. So we just discuss here the basic, the foundations, and I normally refer to the yoga school when I provide some information, because it may be different from another yoga school. And first, to understand about the subtle layers of our being, or particularly the energy shape of our being, let's discuss the concept of Panchakosha, which means literally 5 bodies or 5 shapes of human existence. We can find this information in Upanishads, specifically in Taittiriya Upanishad, so it's quite ancient. And you can, after we discuss that, it will be more clear why the yoga practices are designed in this particular way, how they all interconnected with each other. Because there is a foundation of theory of Panchakosha behind the yoga practices. Okay, so let me share the screen, and then I can show you the chart. So it will be easier for you guys. Okay. So hope you can see, right? Can you? Okay. Okay, so 5 layers of the human existence. The first one, external one, or the most gross, this is Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya literally means food body or physical body, material body. This is actually our physical body. And for us to have this body, to maintain this body, to grow from the very beginning, since the moment of conceiving by our parents, and also for our parents to be able to conceive, we need to consume the food. So the food is transformed into all these muscles, nerves, bones, all the tissues and liquids that we have in our body. And also after we die, the body becomes food for some insects or animals, depending where you die, if there is no cremation. So to maintain this healthy body, we need to have a proper diet, exercise, and take care of this, clean it, and whatever we do externally. Of course, the health of the body also depends on our mental state and energetic and what is happening in energy body, but we will talk about it after we finish all these layers, and then we will see how they're all interconnected and how can we affect from one state into another one. Okay, with the physical body it's quite easy to understand because we all have it, we can all touch it, we actually deal with that every day. When it comes to other bodies it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. So if we peel the physical body, take this external layer out, deeper inside there will be Pranamaya Kosha, or vital energy sheath or body. This is not physical, this is energy. As you remember, prana means vital energy, which sustains all objects in the universe, all physical objects. It sustains our physical body and any other object. So even prana leaves the body, then the body or object is decomposing, stop its physical existence. So in the concept of Pancha Kosha, the more subtle layer supports the existence of the more gross layer. So there is no prana, there will be no possible for the physical body to exist. And also the health of the physical body directly depends on energy body or pranamaya kosha. Pranamaya kosha or energy body has 5 types of prana or energy, which corresponds to 5 physiological systems in a human body. Let me first finish with all these 5 shifts, and then we come back to Pranamaya Kosha, and we will study these 5 types of prana within Pranamaya Kosha. So I have separate charts for that, so it will be much easier. Yeah? Okay, vital energy shift. This is what we deal when we do pranayama practice. Of course, definitely we affect on our physical body, and you already know what technique has, what influence has on what physiological processes in our body, because we provided quite good training for that. But also, through this pranayama practice, we affect on energy body or pranamaya kosha. So we regenerate through the breathing exercises, we regenerate the sources of prana within pranamaya kosha. We improve the circulation of prana through the energy channels, yeah, and other things which we will discuss later today after we finish with all these koshas and pranas. Okay, so if you peel pranamaya kosha, the energy body, there will be manamaya kosha or mental shift or mental body. In the yoga tradition, mind has different dimensions as well. In our Western culture, we used to think that what is when the mind, it means intellect. But again, in the yoga tradition, it's not only intellect. So, but Mana Maya Kosha, this is conscious mind, which also includes this rational mind. This conscious mind, this is what we operate being awake right now, for example. So we use right now our conscious mind to think, to communicate, to analyze, to read external stimuli. It means like through the senses we can also understand what is going around us. Yeah? So it's all related to Mana Maya Kosha. Manas, the Sanskrit term for the mind, manas. Yeah? So this is, I don't want to say the lower dimension of mind, but this is more like conscious mind. Yeah? And conscious mind is quite limited. Conscious mind has a lot of stereotypes, identifications, and it sticks to a lot of ideas that have been learned before. And normally, if we want to go to these deepest experiences of our being, we need to actually relax this conscious mind, or Mana Maya Kosha. I don't say we don't need that. Of course, we need it. We have to have it. We need to live and use it. But we have to be able to control it through this relaxation techniques, not through the suppression and stress. Yeah? So when we sit in a meditation, when we sit in performing concentration techniques, we use conscious mind. Yeah? Consciously, we actually concentrate on this or that object. So it seems like Moon is trying to join us again and again, and she's failing. Okay, so this is Mana Maya Kosha. To be honest, there is a lot of confusion in the translation of the Sanskrit terms. That's why in some books you can find different translation for Mana Maya Kosha and Vijnana Maya Kosha, the next one. But I will try to clarify it, and sometimes depending on cultural background we can use this or that terms. Okay, if we peel off Mana Maya Kosha, or conscious mind, so we go to the deeper layer of our being. This is Vijnana Maya Kosha. This is higher mental shift. Higher. So it's already beyond conscious mind. And here is getting more and more difficult for us to understand, because right now we are here operating from our conscious mind. Yeah, so I am now trying to consciously trying to explain the matters which are beyond conscious mind right now. Yeah, that's why maybe the conditioned terms might be not that appropriate, but I will try my best now to explain. Specifically, it's more difficult for the next one. Okay, Vijnana Maya Kosha, this is higher mental body shift, sometimes translated as intuition, awareness. And also here we have subconscious mind. Normally we cannot access subconscious mind consciously in a state of waking right now, like in this state, like now, yeah? So we are conscious, we are not sleeping, we are not in a state of trance or deep relaxation, we're just trying to analyze the things. So when we try to analyze the things, and use our intellect, normally most of us are not able to go deeper to Vijnana Maya Kosha, because this is beyond. So we need to relax Mana Maya Kosha, relax this intellect thing, so we can actually go deeper. So normally this subconscious mind field we access during Yoga Nidra practice. So normally here during the course I do at least 1 hour of explanation for that. Yeah? But now we just discuss briefly. So awareness, so state of presence without being disturbed in the mind by this non-stop of chaotic things and thoughts that are happening in the mind. Yesterday we had this lecture with the guys, and one example came to my mind spontaneously, that if you imagine this highway which is full of different vehicles, different type of vehicles like trucks and small cars, motorbikes, bicycles, animals, even like cows, dogs, whatever, and they all move in a chaotic directions. This is normally what's happening in our minds every second. Yeah. So in the conscious mind, like this, and we don't normally, most of us, we don't have control of that, and more we try to control it, more we fail. Because the key here is relaxation and letting go. So more putting this very hard efforts to stop it, it's a step back. But anyway, so beyond that mass, so it's already Vijnana Maya Kosha, beyond that mass. Yeah. What I like in yoga, we have techniques to slow down this traffic. Slow down the traffic of these different vehicles and be able to observe these gaps between the vehicles. The gaps of no vehicle, pure space. Yeah, this is the pure space normally, with no content, with no vehicle. This is actually already very close to our true self with no content. But this is in the beginning quite difficult. Anyway, coming back to Vijnana Maya Kosha, this is beyond conscious mind, subconscious mind, not only as a storage of different imprints of our previous experiences, but also as the one of my teachers said, this enormous source of energy, psychic potential that we all have but not aware, so that can be, if it will unlocked, can use for not only for self-rejuvenation, but for, I don't know, for like being like generator, yeah, of energy. But normally we serve, we are busy with serving our mental confusions daily, and we are not aware of that potential that we have. We have it as an intellectual idea, but we don't really live like that. Okay, so beyond Vijnana Maya Kosha, Ananda Maya Kosha, and this is already more difficult to explain because it's already beyond even subconscious mind and beyond awareness, intuition, and whatever you call it. This is actually the final layer, still a sheath that covers your true self. So Ananda Maya Kosha, this is still a sheath that can be peeled off. Normally, the teachers don't explain much about that. They say it's a body of bliss because Ananda means bliss. Yeah. So it's already there within that Ananda Maya Kosha. We already have this experience of the true self, of not being separated from any object of being in the universe that we discussed on the lecture 1. Yeah? So, and we have this experience, direct experience of living our life, even for a short time, with this experience of all this ego and I principle. They are illusionary. Yeah? So not as I think that this is illusory, but I experience that. I experience it clearly. Yeah, that this is impermanent illusions which come and go every moment of our life. To be honest, we are not aware even how many things are happening every second in our mind because we are not even tracing them. It's not only the thought. This is just glimpses of this and that. Some memories, some ideas, some smell, sound, impressions, glimpses of emotions. It's like a huge thing. Yeah. This is not bad. This is just what is happening. So the yoga practices are designed also to slow down this process to that degree where we can be able to see it clearly first without identifying with that, and with the time just completely detach from that. That we exercise in Yoga Nidra also. Okay, so this is general concept of 5 shapes of bodies. This is concept is called Pancha Kosha. Pancha means 5, Kosha means body or shape, found in Upanishads. And knowing that, I will repeat again that I've mentioned in the beginning, that all these bodies or shapes, they are of course interconnected and interdependent. They constitute our being. Yeah? So we are not only this or that shape. The beautiful thing, the good news, that we can effect from the most gross layer, Annamaya Kosha, physical body, to the subtle one in yoga practice. So particularly in pranayama, also asana in some traditions, but let's not talk about it right now. So as you know, pranayama is using the breath. There are some pranayamas, highest levels, that are using just the concentration, but they're not there right now, right? So let's come back to our level of existence. Yeah, so we are using the physical functions of the breath, lungs, yeah, nose, whatever. And through the breath, we effect on pranamaya kosha, vital energy state, which affects on manamaya kosha, which affects on vijnanamaya kosha. At the same time, having some work from within. For example, Vijnanamaya Kosha, this is the area where we work also in Yoga Nidra. I just given particular examples just to support my words, because I say some yoga practices we don't know what exactly. Yeah, so there are some yoga practices, for example, Yoga Nidra, where we are able to access Vijnanamaya Kosha, for example, directly, doing some work in there, so which will affect on Manamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, and Annamaya Kosha. Yeah? So we also can affect vice versa. But it's much easier, of course, to start effect from the physical body, because this is something you can manage with more ease. Yeah? So it's obviously that if I ask you to do some purification work in your subconscious mind right here and right now, it might be a little bit difficult. Yeah? For advanced practitioners, it's not a problem. Yeah? But we all here is still, I would say, we are all beginners. Yeah. So, the good news that we can effect on all shape through the functions on the physical body. But it requires, of course, high degree of concentration and relaxation. If there is no relaxation at some degree, then it is not possible to perform the yoga practice. The practice with a lot of tension, with a lot of stress, can lead to more contractions within ourselves. It doesn't mean we should not do the effort. We should do the effort. But we should find this balance between effort and effortless state. One of my teachers said that, this is his opinion, but I respect it a lot, that the practitioners who wish to practice any yoga practice should first learn the art of relaxation before starting even asana. I don't know, guys, your background, but being an Ashtanga, I know for sure that if there is no relaxation at some degree, people just injure themselves at the asana practice straight away. Yeah? Because too much craving, too much stress, too much. Okay, let's move to. I don't want to talk too much because we are limited with time and I have a lot of things to talk today. Let's move to Pranamaya Kosha now. I will open another chart. Pancha Prana. Okay. So now we are within Pranamaya Kosha. So quite often in a yoga text you can find prana defined as a vayu. Vayu literally means wind. It doesn't mean that energy is a wind, but this is most subtle that we can find around us. So to use it as a synonym. So normally when we talk about vital energy, we call it prana. But at the same time, when we talk about 5 pranas within the Pranamaya Kosha or energy body, 1 out of 5 is also called prana. So it's actually might be a little bit confusing. So that's why when I talk now, I will add vayu to each type of energy within our physical body. So the 5 types of pranas or energy, they are corresponding to 5 physiological systems. Actually, I'm not going to talk too much about it, just briefly, because as I said, I want to finish all what I planned for today. So in this chart you can see, actually depending on the yoga school, it might be a little bit different. I will, when I will talk about particular vayu, I will mention where exactly. Okay, so let's see, the first one is prana vayu. Here on the chart is the yellow one. This is covers this from the heart up to this heart, how we call it in English, between larynx and the top of the diaphragm, this part, yeah? Which covers respiratory organs and the heart, muscles and nerves associated with this area, of course. Prana, see the arrow, right? Prana normally corresponds to this upward moving energy, expansion, and corresponding to inhalation when we talk about the cycles. Also corresponding to this full moon if we talk about this external processes. Actually, okay, let me finish with the pranas and I will give you examples as well. Okay, so another one I wanted to highlight, this is below the navel and 2 genitals, which is called apana. This is the faculty of excretion. It's, of course, it covers these organs in this area, yeah, these genitals and some part of the digestive system, which is responsible for excretion. But apana is corresponding to downward moving energy. It's also associated with the sweating, yeah, so expelling processes in the body. And corresponding to exhalation. So sometimes in the pranayama practices, actually not sometimes, the way of the approach of pranayama that we practice here, we have normally exhalation double longer than inhalation. It is normally related in this system that for the purification effect more. So through this exhalation we activate apana more and help to expel the impurities more. Yeah. So normally prana and apana in yoga texts, you can see that they have to meet because between them there is a fire that around the navel, fire that yoga practitioners through this working with the prana and apana, creating this wind or draft within to make the fire more, yeah, to burn impurities. And apana is responsible for expelling the burnt waste from the impurities. So it's a little bit more like symbolic, yeah. And what we need to know is that exhalation is related to downward moving energy, the faculty of expelling the waste. It's also actually genital liquids and sweat, not only when you go to the toilet. Yeah? And through the breath also we have purification. As you know that breathing has a lot of purification effect, so through the exhalation there is also some purification effect. So apana, so prana and apana, this is sort of two different impulses within ourselves and externally. So if you ever practice Ashtanga Yoga, you can notice that the whole sequence, we do this up and down movement all the time. In most of the cases, inhalation the movement is up, exhalation the movement is down. So it's sort of corresponding to prana and apana movement. So combination of the breath and the movement together. So this is the beauty of Ashtanga practice, is that it's so precise. Yeah? So every part of the sequence is so precise. Yeah, okay. And apana. Next one is actually in the middle. Not next one is samana. This is the green one in the chart. You can see in the middle, located between the heart and the navel. So it's a faculty of transformation. This is the stomach. When you actually get the foods, it's digesting and distribution of the nutritions. Yeah, assimilation and distribution of nutritions. It's said that Agnisara Kriya, this abdominal manipulation, is very much useful to increase samana level in the body. Yeah, samana vayu. So we have prana vayu, apana vayu, samana vayu. Next one is udana vayu. This is the pink one, which is governed, actually depending on a school. Some schools would say it's just the head. Some school, like Bihar School of Yoga, normally refer head and the limbs, because you actually move the limbs through the impulses of the brain. So, as I said, try to be open-minded. For us, it doesn't make a big difference, honestly. Udana Vayu governs the neck and the head, activating all this sensory receptors such as eyes, tongue, nose, ears. And when it comes to the limbs, of course, it's also related to this tissues within the limbs. It's also said the faculty of thinking, because it covers the head. And one more is Vyana. And Vyana Vayu, this is everywhere in a human body. So it pervades the whole body, regulating and controlling all movement and controlling other pranas. So it's a faculty of circulation. So if we talk from the point of view of subtle anatomy means this energy channels, chakras, blockages, granthis, this what we just discussed. From point of view of energy, that different elements in the physical body directly depend on depletion or lack of circulation of the prana, which is corresponding for these particular organs or area in the body. So in the yoga practice, in the traditional schools, one of the approaches, I don't say we should ignore means to improve the physical body health, like using the means of that. So improving the level of prana and improving the circulation of prana, this or that prana vayu, will help to improve the health of this or that organs or physiological system. Through the breath, through the concentration as well. Why I say concentration also, because even now we are able to practice the pranayama without very much, we can even start already practicing Anuloma Viloma, the mental Nadi Shodhana. So where we don't use the pressing the nostrils, but also mentally inhalation and exhalation to the right and left, and of course performing rest retention not only mentally. So this is another way of Nadi Shodhana. Yeah, so completely mental practice. Quite interesting. You know, this couple of people are trying to join since the beginning all the time. So it seems like something is wrong with the network. Okay, so we have just discussed briefly concept of Panchakosha, 5 shifts, and Panchaprana, this pranavayus, this 5 types of energy within the human body. And next one that I want to cover today, this is energy channels. You know, we would need to make a break also for 10 minutes because we have 2 hours for the better perception. But we will start to talk about nadis. Okay, nadi, this is Sanskrit term for energy channel. Depending on a tradition and text, it's defined different number of the energy channels. Actually, sometimes nadi is also translated as a nerve. For example, Nadi Shodhana as a pranayama is translated as purification of energy channels. At the same time, intermediate series of Ashtanga Yoga is called Nadi Shodhana as well, and normally translated as purification of the nerve system. Yeah, this is like this. So as I said, let's be open-minded. Both ways good. Nadis or energy channels within Pranamaya Kosha. Again, we are still in Pranamaya Kosha. Literally, nadi means flow or current, and they're very much subtle. I think I already said before, but I don't remember if I did, so I say again. You can find in yoga literature this example of if you take a hair from the head and split it along 1,000 times. So if this is going to be that much subtle as an energy channel or nadi. So, but you cannot see these nadis or energy channels with, we cannot see with our normal vision. So we should develop some special psychic vision to see them. Or even to feel them, it has to be some degree of concentration, purification of our being on different levels. Because actually purification are needed for their Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. We all need purification on different layers. Yeah. Okay. So normally the mainstream idea about the number of nadis within the physical body is 72,000. But you can come across different numbers. I think it's not that important. Some teachers say that these nadis are corresponding to meridians in Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine, but I have no qualification to talk about it. So out of this 72,000 energy channels, normally they are highlighted 3 main. You can see in the chart Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. Within Pranamaya Kosha, we also have chakras or energy vortices or whirlpools. Quite detailed information about chakras you can find also in the Bihar School of Yoga that follows 7 chakra system. In fact, this chakra system came from tantric practices, which were very much developed in the Middle Ages. And there are a lot of scripts of tantras where you can find a lot of information about that. But the 7th chakra system, it's actually it's much later information from some specific texts. We're not going to talk much about chakras right now because I would like to draw your attention to other things. But I can also send you additional information for just to read a little bit and to expand your knowledge about this. To say in short, quickly, that the chakras are not something that exists in every person like you have an organs. Yeah? So it's not something that already fixed. According to tantric approach, depending on a school, depending on your teacher, depending on the lineage, depending on the practices applied, different chakra system might be implemented. It can be 12 chakra system, 4 chakra system, number of the different number of the chakras, not limited to 7 chakra system. 7 is actually now everywhere, like quite popular. So we actually create chakras through our practices, through our practice of concentration and visualization, which happens daily. And something starts to work only after extended period of time of this regular and quite how to say quality work of concentration and visualization, along with the chanting of the syllabus, Sanskrit syllabuses related to this with the chakras. It's actually quite it's a lot of information about this, and I just wanted to say briefly now, and then I will be able to send you more information about chakras, because to be honest, we don't have enough time to cover chakras today. And honestly, it's not something that is essential for this course. Yeah, but anyway, everywhere you can come across 7 chakra system, and when we talk about the energy channels, specifically Ida and Pingala, there's 2 channels that are opposite to each other. I will explain now. So they actually creating the crisscross path from the base of the spine up to the eyebrow center, having this zigzag way through this energy centers or chakras. Okay, so let's see what are they. First of all, I would like to mention Pingala. This is the energy channel that starts from the base of the spine, having the crisscross path along the spine through the chakras and terminating in the eyebrow center. So Pingala is corresponding to solar, active, extrovert, masculine energy of activation. And Pingala, which is opposite, and Ida, which is opposite to Pingala, starting from the base of the spine, also making on another side, on the left side, because Pingala from the right side, Ida from the left side. Ida is also starting at the base of the spine from the left side and making this crisscross path, mirroring Pingala, terminating in the eyebrow center. Ida is corresponding to the passive feminine lunar energy of deactivation, as Rich would say. So these 2 opposite forces, energy level, they are never, normally they are not in a balance, they are operating alternately. We will talk about Sushumna a little bit later today. So, and these 2 opposite energy channels, Pingala and Ida, they are corresponding to right and left nostril in our physical body. So as you know, we don't breathe with the 2 nostrils at the same time. Normally they operate alternately. There is some average information, but I would still insist that this is quite individual, depending on our own imbalances, impurities, mental states, and lifestyle. So it's now living in this life when everyone is struggling with many things. It's difficult to say average data. So, but normally in yoga books you can find that they operate alternately every 60 to 90 minutes. But anyway, so when we sleep at night, Ida is supposed to be active, the energy of the passive energy, and some other activities are also corresponding to Ida or passive, and some extroverts and some active things we do during the day. So we need our Pingala to be active, Pingala Nadi. For example, do Ashtanga Vinyasa practice, so the active right nostril could be nice, it would be more active, or some other active thing you do. So right nostril has to be open and operate. Knowing that, we can influence on different activities throughout the day to bring our life into more balance. So if you need to do, suppose if you feel out of energy and you need to do some work, so you can activate your right nostril or Pingala Nadi. Or if you need to go to sleep, or you need to have some relaxation time and you feel yourself extra active, so you need to relax a little bit, so you can activate your Ida Nadi through the techniques that we already learned in pranayama, you know that. But it's not only, sometimes to boost your sympathetic nerve system, you don't need only the right nostril, you can use also Kapalabhati, for example. Yeah, so it's not only related to particular nostril sometimes. Yeah, but anyway, this right and left nostril, the Spida, Pingala and Ida Nadis, they're corresponding to this nerve system. So relatively, Pingala as active one is corresponding to the right nostril and corresponding to sympathetic nerve system, and Ida, the passive one, corresponding to the left nostril and also corresponding to parasympathetic nerve system. So by playing with these nostrils, actually using them for your purpose, so we can affect on the processes within yourself. And in some yoga texts, you can find also the information about balancing these two opposite energy channels, because as I said, normally they are not in a balance, they also operate alternately, and quite often we have one predominant for extended period of time. Again, not all schools would agree, but some schools would insist that the term of Hatha yoga with the effort, which normally translated, consists of two syllables, Ha and Ha. Ha is corresponding to the Pingala Nadi or solar active energy, and Ha is corresponding to Ida Nadi, passive and deactivating energy. So the purpose of Hatha Yoga, the system of physical and mental practices, is to bring in a perfect balance these two opposite forces. You can find also in the Yoga Sutras about opposite forces, that the yoga practitioner is, through the yoga practice is able to overcome the effect of opposite forces. Opposite forces here, we not only on an energetical level, it's also on the state of the mind. Opposite forces means that we have in our mind different degrees of craving and aversion, likes and dislikes, which actually keeps our mind fluctuating non-stop at different degrees. I mean, it doesn't mean, sometimes even I don't realize that I like or I don't like, but a small degree of preference, small degree of not wanting something, it's still there, it's still in a scale of craving and aversion. We normally don't go beyond that. We don't have our even perception pure. We always see the things through what I like and what I don't like. Actually, what I say that this is quite interesting, and actually I find it quite exciting to know it, that we don't see things the way they are. We see them through our preferences, and we keep qualifying the things every moment. We see the things in a context of if I like it or I don't like it, is it useful or not useful. Even unconsciously, means that you don't sit and do it consciously or let me analyze this thing. So it just happens automatically and we're not aware of that. So the yoga practices are very helpful in being aware of these processes. Being aware first and then transcend them. Coming back to opposite forces. To be honest, again, coming back to the point, these 5 bodies of Shiv, they are interconnected. So now we talk about the energy channels, and they are corresponding to different processes in the body, in the energy level, and also in the mind, because different states of the mind are also connected to different energy, connected and affected by energy flow. either depending on predominant energy flow. Yeah, so either active or passive. And we all have some blockages in energy channels here and there. Also, in the chart, you can see that there is the central channel from the base of the spine, coming from the base of the spine up to the crown. And normally, the energy doesn't flow freely in there. Actually, it's a big topic to discuss quite long. And this, the biggest and most significant energy channel, Sushumna Nadi. Yeah? But Sushumna, this is the name of external layer of this channel. Normally, we don't talk about it, but Sushumna has, or central channel, has different layers. Like, you know, like a wood has these rings inside. So Sushumna also has layers. So the external one is called Sushumna itself. And just in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I really like it. Yeah? So, and inside Sushumna there is Vajra Nadi, and then within that Chitrini, and within the center is called Brahma Nadi. So the very core of the Sushumna Nadi is called Brahma Nadi. And there, through the Brahma Nadi, the energy should flow, you know, if we are successful in our pranayama practices one day. And it's corresponding to this Kundalini awakening as well. Okay, maybe, let's do one thing, because it's a big topic. Kundalini, Grantis, Samskaras, Bandhas, Mudras and stuff like this that I need to cover today. Let's have, before I start it, because I don't want to stop if I start, let's have, 7 minutes break first, refresh ourselves, and again we start after 7 minutes with a fresh mind, yeah, and we start talking about Kundalini and all these things, okay? Okay, let's have a break. This system of energies and techniques related to these energies, they came from Tantra, and they are useful in the particular context of the lifestyle. Normally, the Tantric practitioner belongs to the school and has a teacher. When we talk about Indian traditional Tantra, Indian Tantra practitioners were never keen to promote themselves anywhere, because it's not in a system of goals and values of the Tantra. Tibetan Tantra is different because they were in exile, they had to somehow survive outside of their own environment, and they made accessible teaching for Westerns because they migrated to different parts of the world. Indian Tantra practitioners were never interested to do anything outside of their own environment because they were just practicing their own stuff. And some Westerns who were trying to actually join, my teacher said actually Indian Tantra is not presented on the West at all, the way it is, yeah? You will not find any. So they keep practicing within India in their own places. Yeah? So, and yoga practices related to this, all this Hatha Yoga practices that we discussed already, classification before, the class 1. It originated from tantric practices, but it's more simplified and accessible for householders, not necessarily celibatics or people who dedicate their lives of being somewhere in the wilderness, for example, not in the wilderness, but in some places not really social. Yeah. So someone said that Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it's a laundry list out from the tantric practices. Laundry list. So like really simplifying. Okay, and we have now we have to discuss now Kundalini But I just, last moment I decided to rearrange because we will talk about Kundalini, but before we talk about Kundalini rise, I wanted to say about obstacles on the path of Kundalini. Where does it come from? How to release them? Okay, we know that the central energy channel from the base of the spine, along the spine, terminating in a crown, at the crown, the top of the head. This is the most significant energy channel, and through that channel, the Kundalini energy is supposed to rise up when it's awakened. At the same time, in the yoga literature, in the yoga teaching, you can find actually quite detailed information about blockages on the path of Sushumna. Blockages that prevent the energy flow. Of course, blockages are not only along the main channel. The blockages are everywhere, depending on our lifestyle, mental conditions, actually a number of factors involved. But we talk now about the Sushumna Nadi, and we talk about the blockages alone. To talk about the blockages, first we have to refer to our subconscious mind condition, because it's all interconnected. As you remember out of the Panchakosha teaching that we just recently discussed, subconscious mind relates to Vijnanamaya Kosha. It operates also as a storage of previous experiences that we had before, during this lifetime, and some previous lifetimes. What does it mean, previous experiences? I don't mean events only, I mean all range of experiences which may include smell, sound, interaction with others, intentions, even glimpse of emotion, like you had for a second this vibration inside, whatever, it is also included. Whatever you experience every second of your life leaves imprint deep within yourself. The imprint has a name in Sanskrit, and it's called samskara. Not samsara, samskara. This is one of the questions on exam, teacher training course, 200 hours to explain this stuff. Okay, samskara literally means activator. It's not a passive storage of the data, the subconscious mind. So any imprint or samskara you ever accumulated in your life, as I said, every second of your life, either in a waking state or in a dreaming state. Dreaming state, we go deeper, deeper and deeper, right? So dreaming state is when you sleep, you have a lot of things going on as well. You have also, you see the dreams. In fact, in yoga they explain that, not sure how many percent, 90-something% of what we see in our dreams is raising samskaras from subconscious mind, constituting different situations, sometimes different mass. You experience different emotions, fears or happiness, all range of experiences you can have, even smells, sounds, whatever, yeah? So it's normally rise from subconscious mind when you sleep. And dreams, it's called unconscious state because you have no control of that. It's just all coming and presenting itself. Yeah, so you can observe it in some particular images, and also different states of emotions and mental things. So, but anyway, so whatever you have accumulated before, also in a waking state or a dreaming state, leaves imprint. This imprint is not a passive data. This imprint or samskara is constantly propel consciousness into action. Means that they affect on us from within. They condition our thoughts, our emotion, our actions, again, all range of experiences. And coming back to what was previously discussed, when I talk to you, I don't see you the way you are. I see my projection. There is no others. There is only my projections. Because if I say something right now to you, whatever, all of you will feel differently about it. All of you may contemplate about it differently. Because it's all conditioned from our previous experiences. We are never objective. We can never see the things they are. This is not my own assumptions. I just follow the yoga teaching, which also reflects in some Buddhist traditions as well. And so when we talk about the samskaras, it's not necessarily something negative. So normally it's very easy to understand if we refer to traumas or stress, something negative happens, so then we can, it's much easier to understand that, we carry this suppressed stress within ourselves and it affects on us, so it's much easier to understand. But samskaras might be positive and neutral, whatever we label it, So the thing is that the subconscious mind content or samskaras can affect us anytime, but we cannot access there consciously. This is the trick. So this seems like not fair, right? This is beautiful thing about karma yoga, that when you do the things without craving the result, just doing without any emotional involvement or mental involvement, you don't create any samskaras. So this is, you have to act unconditionally. But this is very difficult because we are already conditioned. Okay? So where to start? So it's a little bit confusing. But anyway, we talk about all this stuff in the context of energy and kundalini. Samskaras, or imprints of our previous experiences, they constitute different knots. They come together in different combinations. Normally in the yoga teaching you can find classification of these knots. So, coming back, Vijnana Maya Kosha, Mana Maya Kosha, Prana Maya Kosha, Ananda Maya Kosha, all interconnected. So samskaras, the knots of samskaras, they define the condition of our energy channels, constituting the blockages in the energy channels. They affect on our physical body by, even very simple example, you had a stress. Why did you have a stress? Why did you react like that mentally? Because you're conditioned from the previous experience. Okay, you had a stress, you create tension within yourself. Mental tension can be conscious mind tension. When conscious mind tension, when you keep thinking about something. Thinking, mental tension, right? Creates energy channel block. Creates muscle spasm. I simplify to the maximum because it's quite complex. Imagine what a range of experiences you have every second, even right now. It's like a snowball every moment. And so this Ashtanga Vinyasa is good in terms of releasing a lot of body things and mental things also. But there are a number of techniques within yoga which help to release all this stuff. That's why I said art of conscious relaxation is really good to help with that. Letting go all these things. But so constituting the blockages. Let's come back to the topic. Okay, now we know where the blockages come from within energy channels. Let's come back to Sushumna Nadi. Along Sushumna Nadi, we have the blockages. I will actually open another chart that I will illustrate them. It's not a chart, it's actually just information. So, along the spine, normally there are classified three main blockages which are called Granthi. Granthi literally means knot of delusion. Yeah? And they are knots of samskaras that we accumulate regularly. And they are corresponding to a number of the issues we have deep within ourselves. Actually, most of us are not even aware about what issues do we have deep within ourselves, because we simply cannot access subconscious mind. Because if something happens, normally we suppress There's something deep within ourselves. Suppressed because the conscious mind doesn't want to do with that. It's very normal. Conscious mind wants to be safe. Conscious mind wants stability. Looking that, and conscious mind try to suppress something unwanted deep within, particularly into this subconscious mind. Okay, this is a question of the Yoga Nidra training that we do. Okay, so let's see what are these blockages on the path of the energy flow, particularly Kundalini. Brahma Granthi, this is lowest one. This is, let me say, depending on the school, but normally this is described as from the pelvic floor up to the navel, this lowest part. So all the issues, it's called Brahma Granthi, it's all the issues about body, food, survival, sexuality, sensuality. So related to the body, also craving for the material stuff, this to have things and to food. So either it's actually quite clear. Okay. So if we have any issues with what is mentioned, the energy cannot flow from the beginning because it will stuck. It will actually meet the blockage straight away and just simply cannot go up. The middle one is Vishnu Granthi. Normally covers above the navel up to the heart. Some way even they say up to the throat. But it's not that significant for us. So all the issues we have about money, work, family, relationships and love. So we don't act or think or feel unconditionally about these matters, either first one or Vishnu Granthi, second one. Rudra Granthi, this is the upper one. This is as you see here, ego, mind, dreams, awareness, divinity. Maybe not that clear, so I would say also intellect without heart, one of my teachers say. So too much stubborn ideas about how things are, about ourselves. No, not being open-minded. Difficulty with observation and witnessing. Difficulty maintaining awareness. Actually, it's quite complex. They're all related to the doshas, elements. It's like quite complex. But I want us to understand the main idea. When we know main idea, then all the things come. Okay, coming back to Kundalini. So now we know that Kundalini, so the energy is supposed to flow through Sushumna Nadi, but it cannot flow because of the blockages. Blockages are coming from the mental shift. The mental hang-ups, identifications and conditionings that we accumulate consciously, not unconsciously actually. We accumulate them without even knowing we do that, because we do them every moment of our life. It's a habit already, so we are not even aware of that. Okay, so for the energy to flow up through Sushumna Nadi, we have to release the blockages. Otherwise, no way. Let's see what is this energy that's supposed to flow up. Kundalini. Kundalini, again, the term itself appeared in the context of the tantric practices, which were highly developed already, in the Middle Ages and a little bit earlier than that, but AD, not BC. I mean, the way we know it, because sometimes when it comes to ancient times, we may not be sure about many things. So I will refer to Dr. Robert Svoboda, because one of the greatest researchers, scholars and practitioners in the world. I think he's the only one who has PhD in Ayurveda among Westerns. I actually intended to send you the small video of him about Kundalini, because I promised Nadia yesterday. Nadia, our student, so she wanted to know, because Masha already know. Kundalini, this is synonym one of the books is explained as synonym of the cosmic prana, universal prana. But Dr. Robert Svoboda will explain a little bit differently, but it is not contradictory. It's just a different way of explaining that. It's energy of identification, and it can either identify with our conditionings or it can identify with a supreme reality. Yeah, so it depends what direction you take. Actually looks very simple, but in practice not that. So why Kundalini is so popular now, this idea of Kundalini in the West? Because if we think about Kundalini rise, we think about that something exciting may happen to our body, and we look forward to exciting sensations in our body, which was already a little bit contradictory that the craving aversions might be an obstacles on the path of a free flow prana, because craving and aversions are contracting us to conditioning existence. Actually, Kundalini doesn't have equivalent translation into English. That's why they keep it as a Kundalini. So it's quite often it's translated as a coiled, like a snake has the coils. So Kundalini also has 3.5 coils, or 3 coils, and normally they correspond to these qualities of universe or gunas, 3 gunas, which are 3 principles or qualities of the universe. Passive, active, and blissful. Blissful is the balance of the passive and active. No need to go in there. Let's come back to Kundalini. Dr. Robert Svoboda would say that there is no need to put any specific effort into Kundalini rise. Because when the right conditions are created, it will rise itself. What are these right conditions? Actually, I talk a little bit more than Dr. Robert. I will send you the video and you can hear exactly what he says. It's 5 minutes only. Right conditions are releasing the blockages. When the path is free, no problem, can go. If there is all stuck with all these blockages, no point to push it. What's the point to push it? It will be stuck anyway. It can cause painful experiences. The blockages are not going to be released if we just do some intensive breathing. It helps definitely to release a lot of mental stuff, but to release all these deep-rooted samskaras that constituted these knots, we need actually this self-observation practice. Self-observation and concentration and purification that yoga system can offer. So this deep-rooted samskaras that affect on all areas of our life, in conscious state and dreaming state as well. So that's why Dr. Robert Svoboda is not advising to do any effort, conscious effort to do the Kundalini rise, but when all the factors come together, then it will rise up itself. And the Kundalini rise, this is synonym of self-realization, realization of your true self. Again, in yoga practice system, it's always very clear that we have that many purification practices which applies to different layers of our being, starting from the body up to the deepest layers of the mind, to purify ourselves to that degree where our true self can manifest itself. Yeah? So purify all the impurities, so your true self, Purusha or Atman, depending on what text you actually refer, they are synonyms, can manifest itself. So if you try with effort to do something, to call your true self out or to push your Kundalini up, it will be like you try to make a flat the surface of the water. Then it will make more patterns on the surface if you try to make it flat. So, like this. And Dr. Robert Svoboda says, and that's why we do not talk about someone's Kundalini being awakened As if Kundalini is completely awakened, it will identify with the supreme reality and will no longer identify with your body, and you are finished, gone for good. You'll have this plane in you somewhere else. It is the end of your conditioned existence in this lifetime. Okay, I will support my words with a Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Actually, commentaries on that. Actually, I think you asked something on the day 1 or 2, and I said we will talk about it. Yeah. Okay, so the Kundalini is supposed to rise through this internal part of Sushumna, which is Brahma Nadi, right? That's what you said. So, if the prana can be made to penetrate Brahma Nadi, there will be total absorption of the individual consciousness with the cosmic source. Prana is the life force of the individual, and when it merges back into its original source, there is a complete unity of every aspect of your being. So, means that the blockages of identifications with the body, food, a lot of issues, what are related to these blockages, we carry within ourselves. Even if we say, no, I can have it, we have it. Yeah, we all have it. Let's be honest. So we need to release the blockages to create right conditions for Kundalini to rise, to merge with their cosmic prana or universal prana that I talked on a day 1. Yeah. So on the moment of self-realization, the Kundalini rises. Self-realization can only take place when you purified all the conditionings, which are named here in the Granthas, right? So before that, there is no point to try hard to raise the Kundalini. If I try hard to raise my Kundalini, maybe I crave for something. Maybe I'm not really honest to myself what I really want. Because to be honest, sometimes we have this, double bottom of our thoughts. You know, if the bottle may have 2 bottoms. Yeah. So the one bottom may seem that we know it, but there is one behind that we are not aware of, this true motivation. Sometimes not really, we are not maybe that happy to know it, so we try to avoid knowing that. So yoga encourages us for self-observation. This is also Jnana Yoga. So going deep within yourself, discover yourself and purify yourself from within. All the tools are yours. Asana, pranayama, cleansing techniques, this concentration, yoga nidras, whatever, so many. Just we have to be happy that we have it all. Yeah. So this is I wanted to cover today, quite important because pranayama practices are also related to this, directly related to this improving the circulation of the prana. You can find pranayama practices in the context of Kundalini rise at some places. And it's good just to know the general concept without going into details, because in the yoga philosophy there is so many details, all these gunas and elements and many and doshas all come together in one system, but it's a little bit complex. I would like to just go through the essence, and if you have any questions, we let us talk about your questions if you have any in the end of the class, because honestly I want to cover other things today, and when we finish with them we can go through the questions, otherwise there might be not enough time. Okay, so we know it all now, all clear. So we covered already Pancha Kosha, Pancha Prana, Pranapana, Nadis, Kundalini, Granthas, Samskaras. Good, we've done today. So what I wanted to talk more is mudras. We didn't cover it at all during the course yet, and we will go briefly through that. Mudra, probably you all know, but we will talk about the mudras related to pranayama and just to some of them. Mudra literally means either attitude or gesture. You know this, the gesture means the position of your palm. They are used in meditation and pranayama let's see what is that. So now we know that there is this quite complex network of energy channels within the body, and all these different layers of our being interconnected, body, energy and mind, all very close to each other. And mudra, this is when it comes to the position of the body, because sometimes how you put your hand and how you make the gesture in your fingers. So this is a physical manifestation, right? So from the part of the physical body. So this is how mental state manifests in external manifestation. Let me be more clear. Our body language, even how we walk, how our position of the spine, how we move, it's all manifestation of our internal component. Normally we don't pay attention much to that, but on a training here I encourage students to observe the practice of the students. So when you observe how they practice asana, when you observe how the person practice asana, we can see also mental condition of the student, because how we practice asana is also reflect on the mental states where we are either not focused or Also same applies for our daily life, how we walk, how we carry ourselves. It's also external manifestation of our internal condition. So but also, as you know, we can affect from the gross to subtle. So our activity of the body, even position of the body, affects on energy flow and affects on the mind. This is also asana in some traditions can have a big impact on the energy flow and mental states. But now we talk about the mudras. Actually, Tantra has developed this teaching on mudras quite detailed in Tantra practices, and it came to yoga from Tantra. So mudras, they correspond to some attitudes of the mind. An effect is transmitted from this gesture or body position, or even position of the eyes, transmitted from kosha to kosha. So you perform on the physical level, and the information is transmitted into these different layers. It's also said that realized people in a state of realizing the higher consciousness spontaneously were taking some positions, performing some gestures. So it affects from subtle to gross. So when you have your state of self-realization spontaneously, not necessary, but spontaneously, the physical body can take the position or gesture as a manifestation of the internal shift. From the other side, we can take consciously position of the body or gesture to effect on more subtle layers of our being. So from another side. So I still follow the same logic that we already discussed. This is what I wanted to say. So within Pranamaya Kosha, these mudras represent a linking of various circuits within the network of nadis, creating a flow of prana which has gross and subtle application. Mudras induce a change in the pranic circulatory system. They activate the nadis, enduring a smooth flow of prana and eliminating the wastage of prana. So therefore, they are able to guide prana towards specific organ as they intended by specific mudra. There are some hand mudras and some also position of the eyes and position of the body. Sometimes, in different schools you can find actually different variations. Again, don't be confused, just be open-minded. The hand mudras gradually rechannel the energy back into the system. And others influence nadis and organs, etc. Okay. Very briefly, we will go through just some that you already can implement into the practices, because actually there are some pranayamas that we did not teach, and in the end of this class I will summarize what pranayamas we teach and what we didn't and why. there is a reason behind that. Okay, the first mudra that you know, this is the closure of the nose. Yeah. So Nasikagra or Nasagra mudra. So it can be with the pressing the eyebrow center and manipulating the nostrils. Yeah. As you know. Some schools, they ask to have this 45 degrees angle of the hand. Some say the elbow should face to the floor. But if physiologically we will look into anatomy, we actually use this one, and which normally explains about the flow of the blood circulation. Yeah, so this is something, it's also mudra, right? Okay, another one, Dhyana mudra and Chin mudra. Sometimes they're identical, sometimes they are just similar and not identical. This is the position where your thumb and your index finger touch. Yeah. So either it can be on the top of the knee, palm facing upwards. Normally in Bihar school of yoga they call it Chin mudra. When it's palm facing down, it's called Dhyana mudra. But in Ashtanga they call Dhyana mudra when palm facing up. Yeah. So normally this thumb representing divine, index finger represented individual consciousness, and the three fingers represent three gunas or quality of the universe. Normally, to make it very simple, it says it improves the concentration. If you want to make it really simple for yourself or for your students if you teach, right? Improving the concentration, but also palms and fingers, they have a lot of nerve endings. That's why also in Shavasana we have them palms facing upwards, and Yoga Nidra also, not to send too many signals to the brain, yeah, so they should not touch. But in Mudra we actually activate it. But anyway, palms and fingers of the hands have many root endings which constantly emit energy here. And here energy travels back through the body and up to the brain. So actually it's to make this circle, yeah. So not to make this energetical circle. Today we actually we practice together pranayama, and I will introduce you to one more technique that you didn't practice with us. Maybe you practiced before, and we will implement the next mudra, Shanmukhi mudra. This is closing the 7 or 6 gates depending on the school. So where you place your thumbs into the ears, index fingers into the eyes, middle fingers into the nose, and like this, yeah, and elbows are facing to the sides. So it's a kind of representing the closing or taking control of your sense organs, pratyahara aspect, right? You know this control of the sense of the pratyahara aspect. Closing the gates, 6 or 7 gates. Okay. Shambhavi mudra, this is when you bring your gaze into the eyebrow center, but the muscles of the face should be relaxed. In lion pras or simhasana or simha mudra, sometimes it's called, we have to gaze in here. I refer to the practices that you already know. So the palm gesture, that this you use for Nadishathana, the chin or Jnana mudra you can use also for this practices, even Ujjayi breath or some others. Even you do this breath retention. When you place your hand back to the knee, you can take the mudra. In some schools they do like this. Okay, so, and one more I wanted to mention, this is tip of the nose gazing, Agachari mudra or Nasikagra drishti. So face looking at the tip of the nose, which we so much have in Ashtanga practice. So most of the postures we have it. Okay, for us it's important to understand general idea about the mudras, which we already discussed right now. So external manifestation of the internal condition, so which can affect from kosha to kosha, sheath by sheath. As I said, when we talk about energies, it will remain in a talking level. We keep talking, but it doesn't feel much, it doesn't make sense much. but at the same time, when we talk about physiological processes, it makes more sense for us. Okay, so the mudras. So mudras, they help to create more circuits or circulation of the prana. So you lock when it comes to you have your mudra in your palm, and you place your palm on the knee, for example. You make this, fixing the circle of the energy flow, because energy flow within the body. There are more mudras. Actually, if you're interested, I can refer to some texts that you can learn more. And also I have prepared something very beautiful for the practical. So about the bandhas. The bandhas, Rich already explained the bandhas. On an energy level, bandhas help to seal the energy flow to prevent the leakage. Again, we keep talking, but we don't really feel that much. At the same time, through this breath retention and through different breathing exercises, we create the negative pressure through the energy channels. Having the bandhas lock, so it helps to make a strong flow of the energy within the energy channels. You know the negative pressure? The negative pressure? Like blowing through the pipe, yeah? And then they cannot go out. So the bandhas create this sealing of the energy within, help to regenerate and purify, regenerate the energy and purify the channels. Actually, the pranayama, let me not to miss it. The pranayama approach where we do the effort through these breathing exercises and through this application of the bandhas, retention of the breath, is called Sahita pranayama, because on the highest level there is no that effort that we apply now. Yeah? And I will show another chart. 3 bandhas. This is from Ashtanga Yoga teacher, Richard Freeman particularly. So the picture here is the swan. You know the swan, this bird? Applying 3 bandhas here, having the chin lock, and you cannot see others, but anyway, it represents the 3 bandhas. This one represents the liberated true self, or Atman, that flows on the clear, calm lake of the enlightened mind. Yeah? So, resting in samadhi, having his head down. So, the shape illustrated here is formed by the practice of Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and Jauhara Bandha. These bandhas unite the prana and apana that we already discussed, which then interpenetrate and fully spread into this integrated shape, opening the back of the Anyway, so it's just so beautiful. I was so excited, and in Hatha Yoga Pradipika you can also find the information about the application of the bandhas, normally applied along with the retention of the breath. So in a pranayama practice we have 4 aspects: inhalation, purika, exhalation, vachika, antar kumbhaka. This is retention of the breath after inhalation, and bahir or bahiranga kumbhaka, retention after exhalation. And normally we use these 4 during this Sahita pranayama with effort. You already know the physiological effect of these practices or aspects that we apply in pranayama practice. And as you know, this any pranayama practice help to regenerate more prana within and improve the circulation. So bandhas prevent the leakage. of the flow externally, to the external environment, because we have the tendency to lose prana quite a lot also. And there is one more retention of the breath, which is done with no effort, which represents this state of their consciousness or state of self-realization. This retention of the breath happens spontaneously along with the self-realization, and it's called Kevala Kumbhaka, normally called as the most significant retention of the breath. Cannot be performed voluntarily during your pranayama practice. It's actually external manifestation of the transformation of the consciousness, or releasing all these blockages. In fact, if you just purify your blockages, but again, without having the mind transform into not gaining new ones, the purification will be non-stop. Of course, it is actually improve the quality of the life. We are becoming more relaxed and more mindful, and it helps actually not to accumulate new ones, but we have to establish new habits not to accumulate new ones, not to identify this number of the things and what we discussed already. Anyway, I just really like this swan thing, and I really like this poetical text, so I cannot stop myself of showing this. So the bandhas, applied the bandhas, they look like a sleeping swan. Okay, and in Hatha Yoga Pradipika you can find main techniques of pranayama. Let's see what are they. You already know, but let's just to conclude. Just to remind you, pranayama, normally pranayama is called, the technique can be called pranayama if there is bandhas applications and retention of the breath. If pranayama does not use in retention of the breath and application of the bandhas, normally it is not called pranayama, but maybe breathing exercises, maybe a cleansing technique like Kapalabhati, for example, and or some preparatory techniques. That's why sometimes pranayama is a synonym of kumbhaka or retention of the breath. Same in Yoga Sutras and here in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. They say the 8 kumbhakas are the 8 techniques: Surya Vedana, Ujjayi, Shitkari, Shitali, Bhastrika, Brahmari, Murcha and Plavini. Brahmari, Shitali, Shitkari we will do today with me. Murcha pranayama, this is quite advanced, and we have to develop this feeling of fainting, which we don't want to do online. Plavini, this is pranayama, this is when you swallow the air within yourself. Also, we don't want to do this in online, this is it's not safe. Actually, Nadi Shodhana, this is ancient practice, but it's not mentioned in this number of the kumbhakas in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, but still it exists. Actually, where Surya Bedna, Chandra Bedna is there, so we can put it together. Again, when it comes to ancient texts, please always be aware that any text belongs to tradition and lineage, and belong to particular cultural environment that may differ from another text in another area within India, which may actually describe something that seems contradictory, and which have provided you very good guidelines not to fail in your personal practice or teaching, referring to physiological processes and how to understand how to use this or that manipulations with the body, either bandhas or retentions or the way of breathing, so you're not going to fail. So it's going to be balanced and safe for you and for your students. Because if we literally just try to copy what is said in the book, which actually belong to some specific school, and it's actually manual to support existing practice of someone centuries ago, it might not be that useful. yeah, for our personal practice. But it's always good to read, it's always good to know what is there to expand our knowledge. Yeah. Okay, this is generally what I wanted to cover today, like briefly, and to how to say, provide you information. We have a little bit of time, maybe a few minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask. If you need to think, you can ask in WhatsApp afterwards. There is no problem. Today we are going to have a practice with me, and we will learn 3 more techniques, 1 in detail and 2 more like more additionally. So to have more, to have our course more rich with the practices. Okay, yeah. So we have a few minutes. Let me know if I can help or not, or we can go and rest and have a break. Okay.
Sophia? I was going to type, but I think it's just easier for me to speak. Could you show the spelling, please, of the 8 names of the pranas that you just highlighted?
Sorry, can you say again? 8 what?
Could you please show the spellings? Of the 8 pranas that you were reading.
You mean 5 pranas or 8 techniques?
8 techniques. You said 8.
Yeah, no problem.
You said 5 pranas and 8 techniques. All I heard was 8.
This is the, I was saying about the, 8 techniques that are mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which most of the school refer to. It's not the only one text we should take as the Bible or any other spiritual scripture and blindly follow. This is one of the texts that's interesting to read because it's a very old one comparing to others. And even originated in Tantra, still quite accessible for most of us. It also has not only this, a number of the things to know. So this is what I was saying, this was Shitali. Okay. Type maybe, you want to type in the chat or type in...
WhatsApp is good.
WhatsApp, okay, I will do, no problem. Yeah, I encourage you to have Hatha Yoga Pradipika. I use here the Bihar School of Yoga because they have quite developed teaching on this energy and whatever, chakras, kundalini,
Okay.
quite good. But Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it's the way it is, it's the same everywhere. Just commentaries may differ.
Okay.
Spelling of 8 techniques. As Rich said, if you don't have questions, means you didn't understand anything. He said on a teacher training course like that, on adjustment class. You know?
Yes. And also, this retention of breath, which we cannot perform voluntarily. I didn't get the name of this one.
Okay, I will also type it. It's called Kevala Kumbhaka. Kumbhaka you guys know, right? Because Rich is using that. Kumbhaka, this is retention of the breath. Yeah. This is Kevala Kumbhaka. Kevala. Don't be confused. Also, sometimes you see in yoga text they say Kumbhaka Pranayama, and you're just like, what? Kumbhaka Pranayama? Pranayama has Kumbhaka, you know? Yeah. But it's like means that the technique which has emphasis on Kumbhaka, because sometimes there's Rechika Pranayama, for example, which has emphasis on exhalation for a more purification effect. As we know that Apana is responsible for eliminating of the whatever, you know, this. One of the teachers said, rubbish. just rubbish.
I think my thing is maybe the names. And then there was something you said, Sekrida Pranayama.
Sahita pranayama. Sahita, this is just the name for the pranayama that we use, the effort, like what we do actually. S-A-H-I-T-A, but I can type it also.
Okay. And then, when we perform the mudra with the palms up, is that chin? Which one is?
Yeah. According to Bihar School of Yoga, palm up, this is Chin Mudra. Palm down, this is the Jnana Mudra. But in Ashtanga, palm up is called Jnana Mudra. In fact, I would actually not be that much concerned because either up or down, sometimes they use different names.
Okay.
I used to say Jnana Mudra for the palm up all the time because we have it in Padmasana, right? There was no confusion. But if you go sometimes in the classifications of different schools, then it may different. So in the Bihar School of Yoga, actually I refer to them quite a lot. I choose them to refer to them. And Chin Mudra is palm facing up, Jnana Mudra palm facing down in Bihar School of Yoga.
Okay.
I will tell you exactly. Just different teachers in Bihar School of Yoga.
Okay.
I just like them because I also teach Yoga Nidra from that school. So because Yoga Nidra has different traditions as well, not only